Good. Oh,
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and joining me for another special episode on Oneness Talks. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming best-selling author, quantum mindset expert coach, and speaker, Theo Tilton. Theo specializes in helping people uncover what's been holding them back from getting massive results in their business or lives and start living an extraordinary life. He offers life and business mindset coaching worldwide and has coached thousands of people through one-on-one, group, and mastermind programs. And he can help you design and manifest a life that's in harmony with your soul's purpose. Theo, thank you and welcome to Oneness Talks. I'm very excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me.
And you know, it's funny because we tried to get a date on the calendar for a little bit, but here we are in April, and it's on the heels of you being with us in Edison, New Jersey, right at the Wellness Expo that just happened, which is just incredible.
Yes.
And it's always a joy to have you with us because you bring such a commanding energy that if someone isn't able to be in that space, it can be intimidating. But when it's not, it's like, boom, you literally feel like this expansion. And I'm not just saying that just to say it. I've experienced it with you. And I think it's, you know, how I perceive it is that you are just so present and in your stature of being that it's just, that alone in it of itself holds the power to shift someone, right? If they're open to it energetically. Yeah. So it's just an incredible thing. And I'm excited for people to kind of just get a little taste of what it's like to be with you in person, you know?
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I know, just to add on top of that, I've heard that probably, you can probably imagine I've heard that before, and what you just said. And I was like, you're joking. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm just being me, you know. And then I discovered something. I started studying a topic called human design. And in the discovery of myself through human design, I discovered why that is.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's actually in my chart. It's actually in my design to be that presence. So now it all makes sense.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't it incredible when you just have the realization and you understand yourself in this way, and it's like, this is just me. This is me, and you get to share that with everyone. Yeah, it's incredible. From a powerful place, and you know, steeped in all this awareness. And yeah, it's good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So we know you are a passionate educator, right? And for those listening, you're a licensed practitioner through Centers for Spiritual Living, right?
No longer. I went on sabbatical.
You did?
I went on sabbatical, and I decided to not renew. I was a licensed practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living for 8 years.
Okay.
And 5 years prior to that was the education. So it was like 13 years of deeply being involved. And they use something called spiritual mind treatment, which is basically scientific affirmative prayer. And simultaneously during that tenure there, I was also studying all the different realms within quantum physics. And that's what caused me to come up with the idea of merging scientific prayer, which is what I practiced all the time for 13 years. I still to this day practice it, but now I merged it with quantum physics, and that is what was the inspiration to create, besides yourself, and that's a different story because you were part of it, creating the book Quantum Mind Shifting.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay. Oh, wow. So talk to me a little bit about scientific prayer then before we go any further, because I'm not really quite sure what that is. I mean, I understand both words, but if you can, just give us like a quick understanding of what that is.
got it. So scientific prayer, if we use the word science, like when people hear the word scientific or scientific method, they probably are thinking about experimentation, something that you want to notice, something that's repeatable, something that has methods to it that you can give that method to someone else, and someone else can do the same exact thing and get the same result.
I see.
Right. And so when we say scientific prayer, it is a method or a formulaic methodology that says if you pray with these steps in mind, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and you repeat it regardless of the subject matter that you're bringing attention to in the prayer, it will always work. It will give you the result that you're looking for. So that's what scientific prayer is, and that is what quantum mind shifting is. Quantum mind shifting is taking that and then saying, okay, well, now how does quantum physics prove this, and how do
Mm-hmm.
we mention the realm of quantum physics inside of the use of scientific prayer or spiritual mind treatment?
Oh, wow. And so now you said you were the education of it and then the practice. So total years we're talking, what did you say, 13 years?
13 years.
Like
So
total.
yeah, 13 years of actively practicing that, and that
Yeah.
ended. I would say that ended 2023. So 3 years ago,
Oh, okay.
and then wasn't able to update my bio on my first book, um,
Okay.
which mentions that when I was licensed. And it was during the, all the book touring and all the workshops and everything that I was like, I can't be a licensed practitioner anymore. Like, because being an international best-selling author took off.
Yeah.
And then I was doing more of that than doing what I was doing as a licensed practitioner. So I was like,
Okay.
I was of service for 8 years. It's my time.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. I
Yeah.
totally get that. So now, because I was on your website yesterday and, just kind of compiling some additional stuff that I didn't know about you. So now you're a certified life coach through the Brave Thinking Masters
Yep.
Institute. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I know you're a highly sought after transformational mindset coach, but
Mhm.
I did want to ask you, believe it or not, about the time that you spent on stage with Mary Morrissey. And then I kind of want to take it back in time a little bit, just to give everyone a little viewpoint of what your childhood was like. But Mary Morrissey, talk to me about how that kind of happened for you and what that was like.
Yeah.
Amazing.
She's a very unique. She is, well, first of all, hands down, very amazing. There's really no one quite like her. And she's got the memory of, uh, you can't even imagine. I remember the first time I met her, I walked right up to her and I said, I want your advice on something. And she was like, what is it, child? You're like, it was a relationship thing. And I was like, I'm in this thing. And she was so straightforward. She was
Mm,
like, you have to choose. Like, you already know the answer. Like, you have to like 3 years later when I decided, like, oh my gosh. And I had been following her and she was like my mentor from afar. And I was creating that I was going to leave corporate America.
uh,
And in that process, part of that process, I was like, and I'm going to become a coach. And it was like as though the universe, and obviously we know this is true, like the universe heard everything I said.
yeah, absolutely.
To the date, like literally to the date. I mentioned this in my book where I was in the audience of a course I was taking, and we were to declare things. And was like, I'm leaving corporate America within 1 year. And that was on November 17th, right? 2017. And about 10 months to the day, I got an email from HR saying, hey, thank you for being of service to our wonderful company for the last 19 years. Should you choose to leave our company, you can voluntarily be let go and get like what it was, 5 years of it was ridiculous, the package that they were on. They were like, this is the largest package we have ever given out to any group, with 2 years of healthcare and blah blah blah. And the thing that stood out to me was there was an expiration button that said you need to select voluntarily this offer by this deadline or you won't get it. And the button was November 17th, 2018. It was exactly 1 year to the day that I said that I was leaving corporate America. So I didn't even think. I didn't even think. Like I literally was like, yes. It just was so automatic because I saw the date and I was like, that is not a coincidence. That is divine. And then I would say within 10 days, I received an email from Mary, and she was like, hey, I know that something tells me you've been wanting to get into coaching. She's like, I have a certification program and I'd love to have you be a participant in it. And it was within 10 days of me hitting that button. So all of a sudden, all these things started to cascade. And then I, met with her, had dinner with her, and then I got on stage with her. There was a thing where they said, okay, we're gonna put your practice to practice, and we need to get you on stage. And I had to be on stage for like 15 minutes in front of 1,200 people.
Was that your first time on stage, Theo?
Well, on a scale like that, I'm always used to 100 or like 50 or maybe even 200 people. Never 1,200. Like never over 1,000, and so it was like unbelievable. I remember my heart pounding on my chest.
Of course.
And she was like, just use it. Just use all the energy flow. Just use it. No one's going to know. Like, just use it. And I was like, all right. And so I started using that energy to be like, okay, that's the heartbeat that's keeping me on the stage right now, and then later that night, I had a one-off conversation with her. This is now, like I said, 3 or 4 years later. And she goes, so how did that relationship thing go? She remembered.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's interesting. Well, in fact, I'm with somebody different. She's like, good. You made the choice. And she wrote the foreword to my first book.
Did she? Are you?
Yeah, if you open up the practice method and you look at the foreword, she wrote it. Yeah.
Oh, Theo, that is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah. And I have been working with Brave Thinking Institute. Prior to me even meeting her, I was doing Mary Morrissey's work. I was teaching her courses before even becoming certified as a coach. I was through Centers for Spiritual Living, I was teaching something called Prosperity Plus, which is basically using the laws of the universe in accordance with prosperity. And there's something called the 4 T's, which is tithing, treasure, talent, and time. And so when we look at let's say the Judeo-Christian Bible, it's the only time that God says in the Bible, like, test me. It's the only time that God mentions, like, oh, you want me to prove you my existence? Test me. Like, and the tests are for tithing. So it's like, give of yourself 10%, 10% of your seed, 10%. And a lot of people think that this parable comes from farming. Like, oh, they save 10% of their seeds for the next year's harvest, and that's how they demonstrate abundance.
Right.
But in in the words of what we call God in the Bible, it was like, no, it's for everything. It's 10% of your talents, 10% of like your skills, 10% of your time, 10% of your treasures. So if you take 10% and you surrender it over to what lights you up spiritually, whether it be a church or a community, that you will be rewarded tenfold from the 10%. So I practiced that, and that was a Mary Morrissey teaching. And I became like a very big instructor for them. So I went through Prosperity Plus 1, 2, 3, like, and I became like this star, like, then they started getting into online space, and I was doing virtual classes. Yeah. And so my classes would generate, like, I would have like 15 or 20 people in my class, and over a 10-week period, that class would generate like $250,000. Like, and so that I became known as the prosperity guy, the spiritual prosperity guy earlier on, before even meeting her. So so they knew me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I became friends with a lot of their directors and so on and so forth. And it's been fun. It's been a fun journey. I haven't seen her in a while. I know that her children are taking over the organization now because she's getting a little older.
Yeah.
And what a legacy she's leaving behind.
Wow.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah, that's incredible. And just by her living her path and truth, what she's ignited in other people, and then it's like wildfire. It just goes everywhere. I think that's the most beautiful thing of when you do offer your life's gift and your soul's calling and purpose to other people. It becomes so activating to everything and everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's really incredible. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. I knew there was some really good nuggets in there. That's why I wanted to ask you. Like, I'm sure I knew it was just had to have been such an important chapter and period in life,
Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, so do you practice in Morristown, New Jersey? Like, do you practice in person? Are you more virtual?
I am more virtual. I started there because I lived in Morristown, New Jersey for about 22 years.
Okay.
And then right after the pandemic, 2022, I had the opportunity to leave. And I did. So I took the opportunity. And it's interesting. It's very interesting because I have a vision board that I created in 2010 or somewhere between 2010 and 2012. And on it, it shows all this stuff, like living at the beach and da da da. Well, here it is, 2026, and I'm 3 blocks from the beach in an old Victorian house on the Jersey Shore. Kind of like back to my roots. This is where I grew up. I grew up in Monmouth County.
So that was going to ask you, yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm like a stone's throw away from Asbury Park. I live in a little town called Allenhurst, and right on the beach. And at night, I can leave the windows open, and you can hear the waves going. It's all on my vision board, which is hysterical because I never imagined in my life, like, it didn't quite show up exactly the way that it's on my vision board, but it's a version of what's on my vision board. I'm like, huh. That's wild. Like, that's like, and the house almost looks identical to the house too. I should actually get to it. I'm like, this is pretty funny. Like, the house I live in almost looks like the house I have on my vision board.
That's wild. I love that. Yeah, it's the power of creation and your conscious mind and thought. And it's funny too, listening to you say that you have a vision board from so long ago. So would you say that you're a believer that to hold on to those things? Because some people feel a little bit differently. Like, like for me, I don't typically hold on to my vision boards, but I love that you still have your older vision boards and you get to really kind of see like what manifested.
Oh, 100%. Well, see, I call it, in the practice method, I call it structures for existence. So it's like the last chapter, basically, of, um, no, it's not the last, the second to last. So it's called structures for existence. And we use structures for existence all of the time by default. We just don't realize we're doing it. So, for instance, I can see that you have paintings and photographs and stuff on your wall. Like I have like degrees and da da da. So these are structures for existence. Well, what does that really mean? It's like, so if I look at something, oh yeah, I remember when
Yeah.
I received I received that, or when I was doing that. Oh, that family portrait when we were on vacation. Right. So it's a way, it's a structure because it's out here in the world and it's physical, it's in reality. And it pulls something into existence for you. And so we do this by default from the past because we're laden with pictures from the past.
Yeah.
Past photos, family photos, past vacations, past, everything's in past. And we look at it and it conjures it up into the present moment.
Yeah.
And so the assertion that I make in the practice method is what we need to become more masterful at as creating structures for the present and for the future. Because without structure for that future to occur in reality, it won't occur in reality. And so a vision board is a structure because it's out in reality. You're looking at it and it's showing you a future. And so it's like you looking into the photograph of your life that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Yeah.
And and what it does is it pulls memory. Mary, speak about Mary. She says that your memory works in both directions, but many of us, we only experience memory from the past. Like, oh, I remember when. But if we actually do things in the present that can create a future memory, we can actually memorize the future now. And so what that does is a really clear example.
Oh, I love that. Memorize the future now. Wow.
Yeah. A clear example of that is taking a test drive in a brand new car. So it's like, hey, I really want to have, let's go really extravagant. I want a Bentley convertible,
Let's
right?
go.
Let's go, right? Well, let's book a test drive. So what happens is you book a test drive and you're starting to create structure. You're starting to build memory. So you can feel the steering wheel. Oh my gosh, it's got heated steering wheel. Oh my gosh, like look at the way the seat wraps around my body. Oh my God, it's got a massage chair in the seat. Wow. So all of a sudden, your brain is mapping and memorizing all of these feelings and textures and smells and the ownership, when you have that, will be in your future, but you're creating the memory of it right now.
Wow. Wow.
And so as you're building memory in the present moment, there's something in your mind called the reticular activating system, the RAS. The RAS is being programmed by your memory. So as you're imprinting those memories into the future, the RAS is now looking for opportunities to notice it in reality.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's perceiving reality. That's what the RAS does. It perceives reality. And so all of a sudden, brand new opportunities will come to reveal this new possible future that you've invented.
Right.
And so all we have to do moving forward is say yes to those opportunities. And that because it's literally trying to pull it to you from this future that you've invented. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why the things that you surround yourself with are so important because they're either reminding you of that past or they're helping you to remember your future right here.
Yes.
And essentially, isn't that the quantum realm? Like,
totally.
Yeah.
Quantum, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So before we go any further, for those of you who are watching and listening, these are Theo's book. This is the practice method that Theo was just talking about. And then we are going to move into the quantum mind shifting, right?
Ooh.
which is the moment I saw that cover, I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. All right, before we get into all of that, take us back just for a quick moment of your childhood. And the reason why, not so you can necessarily give like this long overview of your childhood, but to kind of tune into any moments. I always like to ask people, did you always have that sense of connection to God, source, creation, consciousness? Or did you have a moment in childhood that really kind of activated something? Just take us back a little bit to your childhood, what it was like for you, and how you feel like those experiences really kind of paved your way to become the Theo that you are today. And I know it's a little bit of everything.
No, I know. And
You know,
I'll say there is like usually like some kind of origin story. And what I'll say is the way that I operated. So I'll also use the way I used to operate. I know exactly when it started. So, who I was very much I could never ask for help. Teamwork was like, I'll do it better, and then of course that comes with a bunch of side effects, like burning yourself out, overwhelmed, deadlines, stress, you name it, eczema, hair falls out, like all kinds of stuff happens, right, when you're doing everything on your own. And some of us are designed that way. I'm not, but I remember the origin of that. And it's fascinating because anybody to know that they could think back this far, they're like, are you sure that's a memory? I'm like, yes, I absolutely remember it. I was in a high chair. And I was being fed by my mother, and it was in the safety and the protection of the home. And there was a bunch of people over the house, and I was in the dining room and in a high chair. I was like buckled in, and she was feeding me. And the dining room connected to the kitchen, but it had like those French glass double doors, like the old ones with the panes, and you could like open them up.
Yeah.
So you could see straight through to the kitchen, but those doors were closed. And out of nowhere, there was like this crash, like stuff. And my mother looks back. I'm looking here. I'm like not even of like language age. Like I'm like goo goo gaga, right?
Yeah.
And I can look and I can see, and there's chaos happening in the kitchen. And people are like smacking each other and screaming and yelling, and newspapers are flying. Like it was chaos. And my mother looks, and she clearly sees what's happening, and then leaves me in the high chair and runs down the hallway and hides in one of the rooms. And she keeps looking back at me to see if I'm okay in the chair. But I'm like, what the hell's going on? I don't know what's happening. I do not feel safe. Something is very wrong here. And so I'm yelling for my mother, and she's not coming. And then I start pushing against the tray, and eventually it snaps off. And I get out of the high chair and run to my mother, and then I get hugged. Now, what happened in that moment was the person who takes care of me the most has left me, and I have to do everything on my own. What really happened in that moment was there was a wasp nest that was underneath of the light in the kitchen, and the whole fan fell out of the kitchen, and there was this enormous wasp nest that came out, and there was wasps flying all over the kitchen. And my mother has anaphylaxis from bee stings. So she could not be anywhere. If she got bit, or stung, she could have died, right? So she was like, "You're going to be safe. You're behind closed doors, but I can't risk anything." Like, so she ran to get out of the way, for her safety. And then, of course, when I met up with her, she hugged me and kissed me. "You're all safe." Da, 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 da. But what I made it mean was the world is not safe, and you need to do everything on your own. So my life, probably up until 2004, from that was like 1972. Right? So my life, probably all up to like 2004, was no one's going to help you. Like, you gotta, you want to make money, you got to do it yourself. You want to, get a house, you got to do everything yourself. There's no partner, there's no team, there's nothing. No one is ever going to help you. And it got me through my life to be very successful. Making very high mid six-figure incomes as a software engineer in corporate America, 4 degrees, like, you name it. Like, it made me ultra successful. But that was the origin of what happened. Now, the spiritual part of it is, I was raised in a very Christian Baptist, born again Baptist household. And so women were not allowed to wear skirts that were higher than your ankle. You weren't allowed to dance. You weren't allowed to listen to the radio. You weren't allowed to watch certain television. You couldn't read certain books. Like, it was very strict. And I knew that I was weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I was different, and so, regardless of how many times I had saved myself through accepting Jesus Christ, I was still going to hell every Sunday.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 2004 when I stepped into a Centers for Spiritual Living, spiritual center, which at the time was called Religious Center, Centers. It was called Religious Science International.
Okay.
Which was a teaching from Ernest Holmes, The Science of the Mind. And when I walked in there, I sat in the back row because the person invited me, and I was like, just sitting along the wall. There was like maybe 100 people in the congregation. I was sitting in the back listening to the minister, and I started weeping because it was the first time I had ever stepped foot into a spiritual place that I never even knew existed, and felt like I came home. Like, literally, like, it was like spine tingling, goosebumps, crying. Like, I was like, oh my God, what is this? And simultaneously, I had found the movie The Secret, like around 2003, 2004, around that same time. And I was like, wait a minute, this church teaches The Secret? Oh my God, they're all going to hell. This is the devil. And so, but from that moment forward, I started to I dove in, man. I took all of that do-it-yourself, 4 degrees. Like, I was like, I am attacking the study of this. I'm going to know everything. And it's been like that every day since. So for the last 22 years has been nothing but like deep diving into every aspect of that. To the point where I literally created everything. Like I said, like, I'm going to be an international best-selling author. Boom, it happened. I'm going to be a 2-time international bestseller. Boom, it happened. I'm going to leave corporate America. Boom. So I began to harness all of that. And now I go back home and I have all my religious relatives, and I can still speak their language because I was raised in it.
Yeah.
But now I speak it directly, but using a spiritual approach to how I'm speaking it. So they're like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But they don't realize that my approach to what they are teaching is completely different.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like a completely different octave, right?
Yeah,
Of expression, but it still
totally.
gets the point across. Like I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely get what you're saying.
I mean, to the point where they're now coming to me
Yeah, of
and they're
course.
like, I know, I'm like, listen, like, it's Christianity, this, and Judaism. That. Oh, and part of my 5 years of study for becoming a licensed practitioner, there was a full-on year where we had to study every religion. Like it was like the top 7 or top 10 religions of the world, like everything from Jainism and Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, Taoists, like Zoroastrists, like literally like of this like dozens of religions, and we had to dive into each and every single one of them and know every single process, every single dogma, every single. So, and the reason why they did that in the studies was so to get you to the place of everything and everywhere they're all saying the same thing.
I love
And
that.
they are. They're just saying it, just different words, but they're all like literally saying the same thing.
100%. Yeah. And I think that's like such a perfect segue because this is harnessing the power of your words, right?
Yeah.
Our words are so powerful, and most people don't realize it. We toss around our language like it doesn't mean anything, and it does. It
Oh yeah.
means so much. And I have to, since we're here, I know you talk a little bit about, well, your whole book is about the QMS, right? And what it's used for. And
Hmm.
it says here, health. So I guess these are the categories, right? Your health and well-being, love and relationships, vocation, career, job, business, freedom of time and money, right?
Yep.
So now these you say are just the common areas of life,
Yes. These are
right?
the common areas. Like if we were to gather together around the fire and start sharing stories, there's going to be 4 common areas that connect all of us together. You have your health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
It's like and or the opposite, like I am not healthy, I am not in well-being, right? Or love and relationships, how good it is or how disconnected it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your what lights you up. What are you bringing to the world? What is your career? What is your vocation? Now, when I say vocation, doesn't necessarily mean paid. People hear career and they think, or vocation, they think it's something that you're getting paid to do. Not necessarily. Like
Mm.
your vocation could be of being of service, and you are changing the world, but you're not really getting paid for it. So, but it is the primary thing that lights you up. And then there's time and money, freedom. I measure both of those because freedom is, people just think, well, what is freedom? Well, freedom from your thought, like freedom, and that comes into the area of time. It's like what would it be like for you to not be bogged down by all of the thought that you have around success or getting somewhere, or doing things in a certain way. You're spending so much time doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone.
Everyone. Yeah.
And when we free up time, it's like, wow, what can I do with all that time now that I'm not thinking about that?
Yeah, you don't realize how encased you are in your own thoughts. And it's funny. I guess it's like when we were just talking previously, about words and languaging. And I've always been a firm believer that language either has the ability to bring people together or it creates like this just repelling, like, it's a completely different way of, like, sometimes you can't communicate at all. So it's like, I am sure that the practice method in conjunction with this really kind of helps you be able to navigate that in a new way, because you are going to meet people continuously throughout your life that don't necessarily speak the same language in its meaning as you do, but
Mm.
the tools will help you be able to navigate those situations with so much clarity, and just to be able to communicate with someone where you have a difference about, and yet still not have it become charged with like negativity is a game changer. So I,
Yeah.
I almost kind of feel like, just in having this brief conversation, like your practice method and what you put in the quantum mind shifting is really kind of bringing that all together so people can just really be able to experience one another differently, and yet you can still enjoy one another, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In so
Well,
many ways.
yeah. And so like I'll find out like the practice method is very much my coaching program. And when I want to say, I hate to say this, but basically I call it the $250,000 book. Like
Mhm.
it,
And why is that?
because it cost me $250,000 to create it. Right. So and when I say it cost me how much to create, well, it cost me, 15 to 17 years of study, taking 75 to 90 courses, reading 200 or 300 different books, taking seminars and weekends and retreats. And if you add all of that spiritual technology and practices and things that you learn and things that you bring into your life and add up all the totals and the amount of time, it was like I literally spent 15 years of my life and $250,000 to create that book.
Wow.
And so the assertion, and that's why it's kind of like the fundamental, it's the foundation of my coaching. Like everything in the practice method is the foundation of my coaching.
Mm.
So when I'm with someone, I immediately am listening from all of the context of the distinction within the practice method. So I know that as a person is speaking, I can immediately hear when their attention is off. So attention is one of the distinctions. I can immediately hear when intention is off. I can immediately hear when responsibility is out of whack. I can immediately hear when there's no teamwork in their life. I can immediately hear. So, these are 24 key distinctions in the practice method. Now, what the practice method is really good for is identifying the gaps that exist within your being.
Mm.
Because we're already using the practice method. That's the assertion. The assertion is you're already using this. You don't know you're using it. You're using it by default.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that default way of use that is what's going to get exposed by understanding the book and the program.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we discover, oh, I've learned this. Oh, yes, I totally changed my life. But then I fall back into it. Like, I don't know what happened, Theo, but I'm doing it the same way I used to do it. Okay. Now we get to use quantum mind shifting because now we get to alter the reality of how you're being through upgrading and shifting your mind so that you can start really seeing a transformation in a particular area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So the practice method, in a way, is like a toolkit to see
Okay.
where all the gaps are in your being.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then the quantum mind shifting helps you heal the gap or upgrade the frequency or quantum leap into the next layer of being so that everything that you can use in the practice method begins to run very smoothly in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
in a way, and I did not design it that way. It just happened that way. And I discovered that over time. Like I discovered that, believe it or not, through the expo. So as I was doing sessions with people and people would ask me all these questions, they're like, well, what do you think I should do? I was like, well, you should probably do this part first and this part second, because this one will help you discover where the gaps are. And then this one will help fill in the gaps, And so then I started using it as part of my coaching in that way. So when I teach or when I'm leading groups, we have discussions. We'll go from one context of one book and then shift over to the other one to do the healing and then come back. So it's kind of, they synergistically go together. I did not design it that way. It just happened.
That's the beauty and magic and mystery of the divine, right? When you're in
100%.
surrender and in flow with your life's purpose, like you just can't make it up.
It's true.
You can't make it up. That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
I'm actually thinking of a third book right now. I don't know if I want to talk about that. Like, you very much know probably that I'm into the human design aspect. And
Yeah.
so I've discovered a lot in the last 5 years now. I've been studying since the pandemic. I started diving in. I didn't want to believe it. I was like, this is hogwash.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, I don't want people to get offended. It was kind of like astrology to me. I was like, oh yeah, that stuff. Like that. But then I started to like really pay attention.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, this is real. Hold on a second. That just happened. And that's exactly what my design says. Hold on a second. Like, and that only needs to happen less than a handful of times for you to really start to key in to like, wait, this is no longer coincidence. Like if this design thing can predict something once, okay, great. Twice, 3 times, 5 times, 6 times. Okay, now there's something happening here that needs to be paid attention to. And so I started noticing in the entrepreneurial world that people get stuck in this American methodology of hustle, 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 massive action, just go, 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 create, 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 do more than their competitor, and eventually it'll work. Like, and it's like all hustle culture. And if they use their human design, they could actually eliminate all of that. They can just go straight to their life purpose. And if they're designing in alignment with their life purpose, the universe will just automatically start connecting the dots for you. The problem with entrepreneurs is that we're just fighting to build the biggest, best, greatest next thing and make as much money and impact as many lives as we can. But what if you're doing it out of alignment with your design? It's going to be hell. It's going to be resistance. It's going to be frustration. It's going to be anxiety. It's going to be overwhelm, procrastination, perfectionism. Like all of these things are going to start happening.
Oh yeah.
And the moment we say, wait, stop, let me do it a different way.
Yeah, it's like taking the long route on GPS that brings you to these streets and areas that you never needed to go because there was just a straight run, right?
Exactly. So that's kind of like the next thing I'm working on.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and so I don't want to give too much of a preview on that, but yes,
no, that's great.
I started something called the Hustle Free Success Academy, and it's all designed around discovering your human design, who you are, what your alignment is, and if you are in business for yourself, how do you align? What is your specific niche? What is your specific message and offer? What is it that you're supposed to bring out into the world? And then how to do it. So that you're constantly just staying in alignment. So I'm looking at all of those people who are like heart-centered, like they're mindful, heart-led, spiritually focused entrepreneurs. I call them next-gen entrepreneurs. Like they're the next gen of entrepreneurship because the old model just does not work anymore. And as we're leading into 2027, there's this huge shift, that whole 3D, 5D, like all that shifting that's been going on. It's going to take major hold in 2027, which is we got about a year away, but that's all happening too, which that was another subject. I was like, oh, that's woo-woo. Like I'm woo-woo. That's really woo-woo. But I'm a believer now. Like it's totally funny.
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting when you look at just human consciousness, people are always looking for that explanation, right? And so many of our explanations come through either mathematics or science and stuff so that our brain can kind of process and understand. And, the woo-woo stuff is, I feel, just as important because it existed before, I believe, the mind even could comprehend certain things. So I think it's a beautiful thing to witness, science, like through the quantum fields and everything, just almost in many ways validate a lot of what we called woo-woo,
Yeah.
in many ways.
It's totally validating. Quantum physics is validating things that have been spoken about for like the last 10,000 years. Like, in ancient Hinduism, if you go even beyond like that, it's these ancient carvings that they're finding in caves. It's like, oh, they're describing the law of quantum physics law, so it's fascinating that now science is kind of like, for a century, science has strayed away from the spiritual, and it's kind of like in direct opposition. Like, oh, there's no God, there's no this, it's just math and chance and the Big Bang
and space.
and now with quantum physics and studying the atomic energy, it's like it's coming back, and it's like, wait, there's laws of physics that in the physical world apply one way, but then in the atomic world they act differently. And so, since the atomic is the fundamental to the seen reality, then this is the ruling body of science, not what we thought was the ruling body of science. So it is fascinating, and that's what caught me. Like when I started studying it, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, I was like, wow, this is kind of amazing. Being an engineer, I guess, being very, like, I know calculus and all that kind of stuff, and having known like all that science, I was able to see it at a different level, because I understand wave theory and particle theory. I understand it like just from studying it as an engineer.
Wow.
And so, when it's all started to come out in various different movies, like What the Bleep, like, I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
I did.
I was like, oh yeah, this actually does make sense.
Yeah.
This explains why all these prayers work. Because you're bringing attention to it. You're opening your observer. You're the observer. You're opening this up through the use of your words. You're creating brand new realities through the use of your words.
Exactly.
And that's what quantum mind shifting is.
Which leads me to a question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that we bring forth reality every time we open up and close our eyes? That when we are not observing, everything collapses and nothing exists. And as we observe, right? Like that is like that's just, I'm always pondering that question myself. And, I know the answer, right?
Yeah.
Conscious creator, but I'm
curious. One could say, and this is an interesting take. Okay. In the world's greatest book, right? If you call it, the Judeo-Christian Bible, Genesis 1:1, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And God said, let there be light. Is it possible that all that was the opening of the eyelids?
Wow.
Because in the darkness, all you are is the words. You're just your words. And it's in the moment of opening and letting there be light that then you begin to speak reality from that point. Yeah.
And creation really truly begins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Open thine eyes. There's a few passages in the Bible that I always refer to the Bible because it's the thing I know the most. But there's literally the same passages. Like if you go to the Bhagavad Gita, if you go to the Tao, if you go because I said I had to study all these religions. Similar passages exist in every single book. They all have a creation story. They all have a pray. Pray as though it's already here. Pray for the answer. It's already happening.
Yeah.
Speaking it into existence and believing it's already done. So all of that is part of every divine ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
And we're just catching up.
Yeah, 100%. and we're just starting to understand. And it's incredible. It's an incredible time here on Earth, and it's been an incredible conversation with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So for anyone watching, again, we have Theo Tilton's books. Now, Theo, these are available on Amazon, right? People can get them on Amazon. People can get them on
If
your
they
website.
want paper, if they want paper, they can go to Amazon. If they like Kindle, they can get that on Amazon. They're also in audio. I also have them in audio. But if they just want like a digital ebook version and then they want to save a few dollars, they can always just go to my websites. They can go to www.thepracticemethod.com and they can download the ebook and they can download the audio. And save a few bucks because I don't charge the same thing that Amazon does. And the same thing with quantum mind shifting. So that would be quantummindshifting.com, all one word.
And we'll be sure to list all the links so that you can reach out and connect with Theo in any way. We'll make sure that we put that out there. I know you're on some social medias channels. You're on Facebook, I believe, Instagram. Are you on Threads?
I'm on Threads. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on everything you can imagine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, my main is my main is like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I am transitioning to be more of a YouTuber, and so because I am going to be putting in, I'm now convincing myself the reality of creating long form video and short form video on YouTube is kind of like what I'm being called into.
100%.
And you know, I think that's also going to bring me to a larger audience, you know.
Without a doubt.
And I'm a technologist, you know, so I use lots of AI. And here's what's funny. People were like, well, it's not authentically, you know, how do you know? People don't listen. My mother doesn't even know. So like my mother will send me messages and they're like, oh, I loved your post the other day. I'm like, it wasn't me. What do you mean it wasn't you? I'm like, it wasn't me. She's like, it was on video. I'm like, no, it was my clone.
It's remarkable.
It's unbelievable. Like to the point where this whole conversation, you could be talking to my clone and not know it. I'm joking. You're talking to the real me. But that's kind of like how good this stuff is now. And it is authentic. And the reason why I say it's authentic is because I'm teaching it what to do. Like I'm giving it my message. I'm giving it what I believe in. I'm giving it what I teach. And so when it speaks, it's literally using the same words I would use.
Right.
And I review everything. But why did I even bring that up? Because in my Hustle Free Academy, I'm teaching people who are in the space of spiritual entrepreneurship, how can they begin to use AI to help them grow and expand and scale their businesses so that it does feel more like freedom and less like hustle. And so that's another tool that I'm utilizing, is teaching people how to use the technology.
I love that. And any idea time frame wise till we can see Hustle Free Academy and how people can...
Hustle Free Success Academy is already up and running.
Oh, it is.
It is. I already have, let's say, 15 or so people already that seeded the group in the last couple of weeks. It actually launched on Friday, the Friday of the expo.
Oh, you're kidding, Theo.
I literally,
that?
Yeah, I literally launched it on the same day.
Congratulations.
And I have like 15 or so people in there, and I have a free course that's being built, which is going to be teaching people their human design and how to align their business to their human design. Oh,
I love that. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, and so that's located on School. The platform is called School. It's spelled SKOOL.
Yep, I'm familiar with that.
And it's Hustle Free Success Academy. I could send you a link to that as well if you wanted to.
Please do. Yeah, I'd love to include that for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Do you know how amazing you are?
Oh, don't turn this on me. You are the star here. But thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you. You know, before I say goodbye to you,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to read something, if you don't mind, from your book, because it really, really, I just thought it was just so beautiful. So if you don't mind, it's on page 40, and it's called Promises.
Mm.
And so I'm just going to read a short paragraph. A promise is more than just a declaration. You are a promise. You are the promise of life living through you from source itself. Everything you say to others about what you are going to do or not do is a promise. More importantly, everything you say to yourself about what you are going to do or not do is also a promise. In fact, how we keep our promises to ourselves is very revealing for purposes of self-reflection and awareness on the journey to living the life you say you want. There is a cost to every promise. This, when I read this last night, was so impactful. And, you know, for so many reasons, because of its beauty, because of its depth, because of its clarity. You know, in having this wonderful connection with you today, you are, right, the living embodiment of the promise by living your life on purpose and unobstructed and with this courage and this fierceness that really makes a difference in people's lives. So thank you for that.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah, it makes a really, really big difference. And I think people need to hear it, right? People need to know that what they say and the declarations that they make in their life really have power. And you have brought forth such a huge declaration in living your own life the way that you do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And on that note, we say thank you to everyone who's tuning in.
Yes.
Again,
Thank you, everybody.
again, I'll be sure to include all the details so that you can connect with Theo on all the social media platforms that he shares on. And then, of course, you can email him and connect with him and ignite your own life in a brand new way for yourself. So from my heart to yours, big love. Thank you for tuning in to Oneness Talks.